Some viewers may find this content disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Barbara Hartman, yes, once again you have stopped into the Fox Den for this episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on StarFox Radio. It is always excellent to link up with you to figure out what is occurring with the infamous Dogman topic. Yet, before we head out, please allow me to feed. Thank you very much for releasing my shackles and allowing me to regain my power source. And now, without further ado, it is time for the Midnight Society to take a walk into the darkness. My creatures of the night, yes, welcome back to another episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on StarFox Radio. Barb Hartman, a member of the Midnight Society, yes, has once again stopped in to hang out with us. How are you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thanks again for having me, Kenny. It's always a treat. It's so much fun.
Appreciate you taking time to come in and hang out with us, because to my audience that doesn't know, Barb actually just had a pretty long show previous to this and is just getting done, and now she's hanging out with us.
I just really enjoy learning about the different cryptids, and my thing is Sasquatch, Bigfoot, but I'm learning so much about Dogman, and so yeah. Again, thanks for having me. It's always fun.
This is excellent. I appreciate you. And what have you been up to in general? Anything new you've been diving into for research?
I mean, I am in what they call a habituation situation, which is, essentially there is a clan of Sasquatch that is living around me. They come into my yard, on our property. We have woods and the Puget Sound behind, like I've said before, woods kind of all around, and there's really a large protected area for them, I believe, to kind of habitat, a great habitat for them. So, and I've been getting some pretty cool audio, and I really, most of it is recorded through my through our home security cameras, because I just found that was a really kind of a cool way to, and an easy way. I don't know if they don't realize they're being recorded. I know that they know that the cameras are on. My cameras are the infrared, so there's a circle that turns on, and I mean that's visible to the human eye, this red circle, when they do turn on. So I know that they know, but I don't know if they understand about whether their audio is being recorded. Who knows though? I don't, that's just speculation. I don't know, but I have captured a lot of audio, and there was some that I'd sent to you, Kenny, and interestingly, you said that ask if I minded if you sent it on to your scientific team. I was like, no, please, by all means. I have had some of of my audio run through spectrogram, so it shows that it's definitely not in the range of a human, any human or an animal. So there's a few of the noises that I know I'm pretty positive, that it's Sasquatch. As that's, like I said, scientifically that's what it shows is, documented. But you had some interesting words to say about what your team found.
Excellent stuff right there. And yeah, before I respond to that, I actually have recently been trying to do a little bit of an experiment myself, meaning just to see what could really pick up on cameras. And there's a cool little jumping spider that's been chilling in my room, and I can't seem to catch him to let him outside. He always gets in the crack of the window. But the other day I was trying to take a picture of him, and I'm zooming in, and as soon as I turned on my camera, he booted. And
Oh, wow.
also, yes. So, and also, I mean, some of the squirrels that are cool now, my squirrel, she cheeses right up. But at first, some of the other ones kind of pause for a second when you're recording them. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
starting to think that maybe our camera just puts off something, even that an insect can pick up on. Because why
Yeah.
did the spider react that way? I mean, sure, it could have
Mm-hmm.
been just because I was near it. But I mean, I was pretty dang close before I turned the camera on, and he or she didn't run off. But as soon as I turned the camera on and started trying to zoom in to get that really cool shot,
Wow.
the spider booted. And
That's
that makes,
crazy. Wow.
yeah, it makes me think maybe potentially it is giving off some sort of,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it does. I mean, when we sleep and things, that's why they say you should put your phone on do not disturb or not really
Yes.
near you. I mean, I leave my phone right by me in my bed,
I know
but
me.
yeah,
I know me too. It's so
technically though,
bad,
it's
but
always sending
yeah.
out waves and picking up connections and things. So we're not directly like seeing that, but it's proven that it's putting off those signals.
Yes. My son-in-law, he has his family has like a hunting camp in northeastern Pennsylvania, and he said that that they always have game cameras out so they can kind of
Hmm.
monitor throughout the year. But he said that the bucks have been purposely they find are avoiding the game cameras, and they didn't used to. So if there's something new about these cameras that they can either see them, like you said, there's something
Hmm.
that they're able to detect them because yeah, he said now they'll see movement, they'll hear them, like they're messing around with it, but a lot they very rarely now get any video or any images. So I think that's pretty interesting too, that obviously the deer can sense the cameras. So it's definitely
That is
something to be said for
straight
that.
up bizarre. Yeah, no, I just think
Yeah.
there has to be something potentially occurring with that. And speaking about the trail cams, did you get a chance to watch my hoax video about how I walked
Yes.
through how easily that actually is
Oh,
done? And
yeah. Yeah.
it needs
Hmm.
to pump the brakes on people. Oh, wait, there's a trail cam. It's got the date, it's got the insignia. I did that in
Yeah.
literally 35 minutes of my life, not even putting in good effort because I could care
Hmm.
less.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. But yeah, you throw that out on on the internet and oof, put it on Reddit. You it'll go viral.
That's why my little brother, he was loving it. He's like, you should have sold it for a little bit longer. I was like, I couldn't, man. I had to try to get to the point and let everybody
Yeah.
know before they friggin' started sending it around before they even finished
Yeah.
the video.
You're right. You're right. And then it's like, this is what Kenny got, and you're like, oh man, no, I didn't.
I know, exactly. It's so funny. But we
Yeah.
did. So the most recent one you did just send me today, I am waiting for some responses. But some of the other audio that you have sent in, the majority of my science team seems to think it definitely sounds like apish, maybe, or
Hmm.
primate based.
Yeah, and I would agree. Yeah.
And whereas you said that's what you believe is occurring, that it probably falls into the line as to what you think is happening. I mean, especially the one, I can't remember directly, but it sounded like chatter or something near your porch, kind of.
Yes.
And
Hmm. Yeah.
that's the one that they said really had basically like a primate kind of sound to it,
Hmm.
like vocalization pattern. So super
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Last night, what I got last night, and I don't know if you have any ability to clean that up, like from an audio perspective, because there's static. And I'll just tell you what I know I'd shared earlier, but I'll share with your listeners. So I was I'd gone to bed. It was about midnight, and I could hear just briefly, like a weird, like almost like a howl, but I wasn't sure, like just a tone, like a kind of like a tone, is all I'll say, like a ooh, here and there. I'm like, wait, maybe I better check the cameras to see if I hear anything. So I checked all, the cameras. I have a perimeter of home security cameras around our property. Check those, and I could hear it on our, I say like the driveway camera, which is up near the main road into our house, there's, forest, there's farmland. And I'm going to guess that whatever I was hearing was probably about a mile away. So it is faint. But I thought, wow, I'm going to get out there with my handheld recorder and see if I can get anything, because that has the ability to, I can record from a lot further away and it'll have a crisper sound. So jump out, grab that, go out the door. The stupid door is like, makes this squeaky sound. And it was just dead quiet. Now, like I told you earlier, my home security cameras are on a delay. So I was still hearing these howls and almost like a bark. But it was dead silent when I went outside. So I'm thinking about tonight, I'm going to maybe just sit out there and see if I can hear anything. If not, whatever. I might put the handheld out, but I'll tell you twice that I've put this handheld recorder out, and this is a recorder that you have to take the button and press, there's a toggle switch. You have to press on that for about 2 full seconds though, to turn it off and to turn it on. And something has twice turned it off. The first time, it's supposed to record for 10 hours, fresh batteries in it. It only recorded for 5 hours. The last time I put it out, again, fresh batteries, supposed to record for 10 hours. It only recorded for 1 hour. So I don't know, I don't know what to say. I'm starting to believe that they can manipulate. I don't know how they do that. I don't know, but that's just speculation on my part. So, so we'll see. Yeah. So if you can do anything with that, I'd love to see if that can be cleaned up, because gosh, I would love to been able to hear much more clear it was like there was a bark that that some of the Dogman recordings that we have reviewed, it's just like a solitary bark, right? Like a deep, heavy, I guess that's what you would call it, right? Like a kind of a bark.
If you've had a chance to listen, if you go to my page, there is a playlist of potential Dogman howls, and that's where Dan Dobson's are, and also some of the other ones we have. And one of the longer ones are a bunch that I looped together before I got Dan's and such, because if I would have had Dan's at the same time, it all would have been into one video as well. I would highly suggest you check that out, because those are all potentially Dogman vocalizations that we can't verify.
Yeah.
So you can definitely tell the type of vocalization is strange, but again, it doesn't have to be canine, is what I try to stress to people, because animals make crazy noises. Hyenas are not canines, and they make some bizarre chatter, laughing type noises. Baboons are not canines, and they legit howl and do all kinds of gnarly stuff. And actually, the other night, I was totally caught off guard. So usually I'll have my TV on or in the background, but I had it muted because I was editing some audio, right? And all of a sudden, outside, I just hear this bizarre noise, okay? Straight up. I'm like, what the heck? So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, yo, that's not on my video right now. My TV's muted. Okay, hold on a second. I hear it again. And I'm listening. So I record it and I send it all around to find out.
Is that when you sent that to me?
Yes, those were barn owls. And I had never,
barn owls,
we live in the middle of the forest, okay, and I didn't think it was something paranormal based. It's just, I had never heard an animal vocalization like that.
Bizarre,
I didn't know if it was raccoons or what the heck it was, but it was so dang bizarre and spooky. And it's funny because a few months ago when I was on a podcast with Sonia, she had mentioned about if you'd ever heard owls mating in the woods, you want to talk about creepy. And sure enough, that's what I had heard, because I ended up sending it to her too, and she's like, I told you that was straight up madness. And I was like, yes, what the heck. So it is, in general, animals can definitely make some bizarre sounds. And like I sent to you on my squirrels happy the other day, I mean, when she was just like talking right back to me, and she makes all kinds of ranges of vocalization. So it is, again, like I said, it doesn't have to be canine to be Dogman vocalizations, it's going to have like a similar sound, but bears make strange sounds too, and bears aren't related to canines. And
Yeah, right.
it's like it could be like a bark kind of growl. I mean, what, mountain lions sound like a woman being unalived? I mean,
Yeah, I've
that's
heard those, and
straight up.
that's very,
Yeah, that's
I mean,
scary as heck.
whoa.
Wild dogs down here by the pole lines, they
Oh,
sound
yeah.
crazy as heck.
Uh-huh.
Any sort of
Raccoons.
cat. Yeah,
You're talking about
raccoons.
raccoons. Oh my gosh. That was something that we would I was getting that not frequently, but I'd say infrequently, but I would get it enough that on my audio recording, and I finally got a really good one. And I many times I will have my husband listen to them first because he knows the sounds of it. He grew up in a farm hunter,
Hmm.
and when and I was like, oh, well, wait till you hear this. And he's like, that's a raccoon fighting. I'm like, no, a raccoon. It was so creepy.
It really is. And actually, to make you laugh too, before I toss you the mic here, Todd Metz, who is Shane Michael Chris co-host on the
Yes.
West Coast
Uh-huh.
Dogman
Oh
Vortex and
yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Hmm.
he has trail cams set up around his house, and he had a amazing photo he snapped where it was just the shadow of this raccoon on the side of the white. I don't know if it was his barn or his house, but when the light went off on the trail cam, it obviously spooked this thing where it stood up. So it's literally like a shadow, and it looks like a mini Dogman shadow on the side of his house.
Oh.
But it's
That's
just a
perfect.
raccoon, so it's so funny though.
Yeah, that is cool though. But that could be something that someone would mistake, and if the what the trail cam caught was just that kind of shadow. Wow.
Yes, and
And their
I think
creepy
that's
hands, they're creepy like their
yes.
front paws or whatever. Whoa.
And people also don't realize how powerful animals really are. Meaning, my
Yeah.
squirrel's got a pretty good tug force. If I am like giving her something or taking something away from her, and she puts her hands on me and is trying to
Wow.
yank it back, like she has a decent amount of pull. I mean, it's not like huge, but she's pretty
Wow.
small. So now picture, like you said, something along the lines of raccoons. I mean, raccoons
Yeah.
can open doors. So I mean, to be able to
Uh-huh.
open a door, you have to have some sort of weight
Yes.
behind you, and
Right.
it's super interesting for sure.
Yeah, it really is. We have one that I caught on our security cameras that doesn't have a tail. And I'll have to send the video
Hmm.
because it has very odd gait, but probably because its tail got ripped off or something. I don't know, but it's really
Poor little
weird.
guy.
Hmm. I know. Kind of felt sorry for it. Yeah. But so that is interesting, and I appreciate like you running by your scientific team. That's always cool. I'm always open to any of that. I feel like as well, like I said, I don't consider myself a researcher. I guess kind of, but it's more of an experiencer, and I don't have the desire to prove their existence to anybody. I just want to get more facts and whatnot. But let's go back to the dog man. I kind of did a little bit of a deep dive into like back to the roots. What is the dog man? How did that start in the U.S.? And I don't know if have you gone over the how the legend of the Michigan dog man started? Have you gone into that at all?
That is actually great stuff right there. And yeah, I've had a chance to dive into some of the original encounters with that, but a lot of people don't realize the first Michigan Dogman encounter is actually after there was one already in Maine. And Maine actually has some older cases of Dogman encounters that people, for some reason, I don't know, just chose not to give props to New England like they do with everything else. I'm not really sure. I mean, we have plenty of wildlife up here, but everyone
Oh
always wants
yeah.
to go to Grand Canyon and out west to film wildlife. I mean, we
Yeah.
have so much history in New England. Maine
Hmm.
is the most forested state in the whole United States. I mean, we have a ton of
Super cool.
dogman sightings, and like I said, reports emerging
Wow.
before the Michigan Dogman, yet no one wants to give kudos to that. So
Right.
it is pretty interesting. But yeah, if you would like to touch base
Well,
on some of that
yes,
stuff for
because
sure.
this is actually a little different. This is put a little, and I know that you have heard this song about the legend of the dog man, right? Because I think you even had sent that to me, and then you did kind of your own spin on it, which was cool.
Yeah,
But
Steve Cook's the legend,
yeah,
and
Steve
that was
Cook,
actually
yeah.
one of my friends, Drew from Speaking Code. He is a musician as well, and he was like, "Yo, man, that is a super cool song, but you should do something like that." And I was like, "Yeah, but man, I'm not a musician." He's like, "So you're an entertainer, you're an actor and model." He's like,
Right.
"I'm a musician. Let's jam something out." So
Cool. Yeah.
he put together that really cool lore folklore type like sound
Yeah.
song, and that's what I really wanted to do, is try to make it a spin-off, basically like a tribute, but not be a
Hmm.
total rip-off. So yeah.
Right. That was great. I know, it was fantastic. But so the story is that Steve Cook was a Traverse City radio DJ. He wrote a song based on accounts that he had been hearing about a strange creature known as "quote unquote" Dogman. He thought, now this is kind of along the lines of like the War of the Worlds, that radio broadcast way back in the day. He thought that it would be a great idea to pull an April Fool's prank on his listeners. And he let this song about the Dogman that he wrote and produced, whatever, um, debut on April 1st, on April Fool's Day of 1987. But what followed was actually he didn't anticipate what follows, that listeners began calling in to him with their actual reports and sightings of what came to be known, is the Michigan Dogman. So yeah, super interesting. There were so many people. He was just kind of inundated, with reports. Now, the legend itself claims the Dogman appears on the seventh year of every decade in the northern woods of Michigan. And, but, that's Michigan. And this particular author that wrote this for Michigan.com said, and it would seem that it's all over the state and Wisconsin too. So that was just a little cute little thing, about that. Um, I was looking into, and I wanted to see if I can find something. Maybe you and I can kind of collaborate on research too. There was a story in the Philadelphia, New Jersey area back in, I want to say, the late 70s, early 80s, that I've been unable to find any information whatsoever on, about these. They didn't know if they were big cats or wild dogs or what. They were actually coming up to people's um, doors and windows and houses and like banging their heads against. Have you heard? It was so creepy. And this was just a rampant rumors about this, because I recall that, and there being things in the newspaper and everything. What these things would do is just kind of, in after dark, obviously, and in the middle of the night, just come and supposedly knock with their heads, whether it's on a window, on a on a door, or on the sides of homes. Like, talk about scary. Have you heard of anything like that?
That's sort of bizarre for sure
Yeah.
right there. And thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that. And to touch base on the Michigan Dogman
Oh yeah.
aspect, I don't know if I subscribe to the aspect of it, the whole every 7 years, because I have
Yeah.
reports that go back to back, which would
Yes.
mean, wait a second, it's only every
Yeah.
7 years. This literally
Hmm.
happened for the last
Right.
12
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I subscribe to that aspect of it, but I do
Yeah.
definitely believe more or less people that were in limbo about what it was that they saw. Once
Yeah.
he put that song out, it probably gave them encouragement to come out and speak about what it is that they saw. I do believe he had heard of it and was aware of it, but I think he was just trying to, like I said, just make a Halloween like kind of spoof.
Yeah. 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 An
And
April Fool's joke. Right. Right.
yes, but it
Yep.
actually ended up giving people the
Oh,
platform
yeah.
to come speak about it, because again, a lot of people don't realize that Linda Godfrey was pretty much the one that dubbed it the Dogman. It wasn't Steve Cook. Linda Godfrey's been researching the Beast of Bray Road, rest in peace Linda, since like the
Yeah.
early 80s. Okay.
Yeah.
And she herself even said that she wishes she wouldn't have used that term Dogman. It was just a term that was used. And a lot of people think and give him the credit to that, but that's just showing how oblivious people are to the whole Dogman thing, thinking that it didn't get any sort of steam until Dan or the Gable film, which is
Hmm.
a hot dumpster fire, because Linda had been researching that way before then. And So now respond to what you were saying with the whole head banging. That is pretty odd, but I do know, unfortunately, there is something that occurs in animals. Sometimes it's like a mite that gets into their brain. And I've seen
Oh,
elk do it before too. They just keep
wow.
smashing their head
Yeah.
literally off a tree until their brain just
Oh
explodes.
gosh. Oh,
And they'll just keep slamming it over and
wow.
over again. I've seen
Wow.
bears do that before. And
Mm.
also say if something has rabies.
Yes,
I've
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, one of
Yeah,
my
yeah.
friends said that a red fox was literally just throwing his whole body at their
Oh,
living room window as hard as it
oh
could over
wow.
and over again, trying
Hmm.
to like smash in through the window, but it couldn't, obviously. But
Yeah. Oh,
that
that's
just makes
horrible.
me maybe think a little bit as to when they said that that was occurring. I mean, if it had hands or such, it would just be like banging on the window, but to just keep slamming your head would seem like maybe something's wrong with your
Yeah.
brain. Like you're
Yeah,
just
that's a
like,
good
duh,
point. Yeah.
and but like I said, I mean, people can look it up. It's something that occurs. It happens in predators and non-predator based animals, but it's like a disease, and they'll just literally keep slamming their
Oh,
head
that's
until it
sad.
explodes.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. Yeah. And I would love to see yeah, I'd love to find any bit of information. So yeah, if maybe if your listeners, if they know of anything, because I know it was such a big deal. I remember being a little kid and I was like terrified that these things were gonna come and like start banging their heads against the doors, you know. It was just terrifying. Um so yeah, because I had cousins that lived in the Philadelphia area, and they of course, had stories, but who knows if it was, it was like somebody's cousin, blah, 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 cousin's friend's babysitter, whatever, so I don't know if there's any truth and what they came to find, because it was supposedly this little group of animals that were doing this. But so anyway, the next thing that I looked into with Dogman is, and this is kind of on the they'll say like the alternative web, or just with alternative views. Now some people say that's more rooted in historical facts, in scientific facts sometimes, than what we're told and what we're taught in school. But again, this is just speculation. So there, this it's Nova Terram Wiki. Have you heard of that?
I have not.
It's pretty cool, actually. I mean, there's a lot of topics, so it's kind of like it's Wikipedia, but for alternative thought process, I guess, or alternative facts. I don't know, but so this is what it had said, is that, and I'll tell you what, it's pretty detailed too. So a dog man, by Petacanis Dianodonta. Does that sound, have you heard of that?
I mean, it
Dian,
sounds scientific enough to me.
yeah, right, yeah, at least,
So
yeah,
I
right. I'm like, I'm believing this. This sounds like it's real.
it sounds like some sort of word. I mean, I don't know
Yeah,
if it's purposely so other people can't pronunciate it, but I mean, every
maybe.
sort of scientific base for any animal is
Yeah,
absolutely insane to try to say. I mean, it took me so long of sitting on Google pronunciation to learn how to say Amphictinodae, Cynocephali,
yeah,
Dinopithecus,
yeah,
and then when you look at
yeah. You have
those
that
they don't
down.
sound the way they should. Whereas when you look at cat sounds
Yeah,
like the way it should, but
right.
those words do not.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is saying that is supposedly, the term for it, the scientific term, also known as, and this is in quotes, the true werewolf, and the greater, that's also in quotes, the greater werewolf. It is a species of ape-like humanoid canine that originally did not exist, but has been created through scientific methods and introduced throughout the swamps, forests, and open woodlands across mainland Eurasia and North America to help boost biodiversity. The specimen was created shortly after the creation of the real werewolf, Homo lycanthropos, yeah, because of the moderate backlash from the media, who preferred the more wolf-like versions of the mythical werewolf depictions. The closest living relatives of the dogman include the golden jackal, the coyote, and the gray wolf. Unlike most canids, the dogman is a bipedal animal that stands, walks, and runs entirely on its back legs due to genetic engineering, since it has Australopithecus genes implemented by, let me see, I need to get to the other page where this is, by some animals and some man-made waste. I don't know if that's, I'm like, okay, I'm not sure. The dogman is a solitary hunter throughout most of its entire life, except during the breeding seasons. The vocalizations of the dogman consists of many growls, snarls, roars, and howls, almost identical to those from a fictional werewolf, from like that of the American Werewolf in London, likely due to the scientists who created the Dogman were fans of that horror movie. Now, like I said, just take this all with a right grain of salt. The Dogman does not transform from humans, not even during the full moon. Unlike in myths or pop culture, as the Dogman is part of a completely different order and family of mammals from humans. So this animal is always an upright walking canine, even during the day. Like many other canines, the Dogman is both diurnal and nocturnal, being active both during the day and night. The conservation status of the Dogman is listed as least concern due to successful conservation efforts, the Dogman's wide range, and its tolerance to most of the human's behavior. So that's, what do you think about that?
Well, before we do let you get back to your busy schedule, I would like to ask that individual a few questions, meaning one, no, it's the interesting stuff, but just
Yeah.
as a scientific nerd, have potentially issues with that individual saying that it's completely bipedal, because in almost every encounter that we have where people have seen it running, it's
Mm-hmm.
quadrupedal and bipedal going back
Mm-hmm.
and forth. So if it preferred to be bipedal the whole time, then why do we have track patterns of them going on
Mm-hmm.
all fours and back up to two?
Right.
It doesn't really make a lot of
Yep.
sense right there. And then also, dogmen have tails, and in werewolf history, werewolves do not have tails.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I don't really understand that aspect as well.
Yep.
And again, until someone can show me this, you cannot take an ape and mix it with a canine. It doesn't work like
Mm-hmm.
that. If that was something that could occur, it would have been done in nature by itself already, meaning
Mm-hmm.
that's why a grizzly bear had mated with a polar bear, okay? Because it
Yes.
can occur. But if an ape was just able to mate with a dog, where is this
Yeah.
ape dog species? So again, I would have an issue with that. And
Mm-hmm.
then a humorous aspect is making the vocalization based off a movie. How would you even control
Yes.
the way something's vocalization
Exactly.
pattern
Yeah.
is going to sound?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
Yep.
that's just all really interesting. And that's kind of what I mean about just putting out potentially like misinformation. Like, who does
Yeah.
this person have a science team? Have they spoken to biologists that have an opinion about that? Or is this just
Mm-hmm.
some
Yeah.
person that
Like
decides
just
to,
complete
yeah, go
nonsense,
off the
right?
rail and just
Like,
write
yeah.
complete
Yeah.
nonsense, because
Yeah.
according to our science team, we think dogman ancestors are the Amphicenoidae and short-faced cave bears, cave hyenas. We believe their ancestors are
Mm-hmm.
along the lines of that, the cynocephali, all that.
Yeah.
So they right there, that completely contradicts, like, or that person's statement completely contradicts our whole entire science team, because they're trying to say it was
Yeah.
created. Well, there's no way in heck at in during 290 BC that humans on this earth had any sort of comprehension of how to do anything scientific based like that. Okay, we
Mm-hmm.
could barely make brass weaponry, and we were using, I mean, bows and arrows are cool, but I'm just saying we were, I mean,
Yeah.
that's, if we had that technology, are you telling me
Uh-huh.
right now, not you, but this person, that Alexander the Great was going to be using a sword? Should he be using like a semi-automatic weapon if he was going to have that type of technology back then to be able
Right.
to
Right.
make
Mm.
scientific spin-offs of something?
Yes.
And that's all. That's just what I mean about,
Yeah.
has society kind of forgotten about science here? Yes, there's good and bad science, but let's be real here, people. I mean, if those things occurred, it would be done in nature, okay? I mean, a
Mm-hmm.
liger, which was mixed, okay? I mean, you have a
Hmm.
donkey. Certain things
Yeah.
happen, yes, okay? That's
Yeah.
how spin offs. I mean, coyotes
Right.
have bred with domesticated dogs and
Mm-hmm.
also with wolves in areas. Yes, okay, those all work. But you can't just take a great white shark and put it in the same cage as a saltwater crocodile and have them mate. Like what? Like
Right.
where did this thought process come from?
You just don't ask questions. Just read it and believe.
Apparently, it's like, I mean, sadly, the majority of people do that, but
Well,
it's
see, that's
almost
the thing.
insulting to people such as you and I that actually use our brains to
Yeah.
think that I'm going to just buy into that. Like, wait,
Yeah.
what?
Well. Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. So, okay, according to him, I can just take a snake outside and I can mate it with my squirrel. And we got a snake
Mm-hmm.
squirrel. Is
Yes.
this how this is
Right.
rolling?
Yeah. Yeah. And what would that what would that
It would
produce?
eat my squirrel. There'd be no mating. Like, what?
Exactly. Exactly. You're like, oh no, where'd my squirrel go? I thought you're supposed to make a squirrel snake.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what the heck? Or it's not
Yeah.
funny. It's messed up, but it is funny. But Brian Barber, before when he had a large snake that got out, he forgot to put it back in his cage, and he had two
Oh.
cats that would always come to see him. And he came home, and it was only one
Oh
cat that
no.
came to say hello.
Oh
He goes
no.
in the
Oh.
room and sees the big bulge in the snake's stomach.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's like,
Oh.
that's why you don't keep reptiles and mammals together. But either moral of the
Yeah.
story is, if they were gonna mate, they would have made it. No, it ate it.
Yeah. But, and that goes back to what you said, always do your own research on everything. Don't go just by what I'm saying or what Kenny's saying or what anybody's saying, but please, kind of do your homework into the where you're doing your research, your own research, because gosh, this was like, whoa, this was some bizarre stuff that, like you said, it just had no really rhyme or reason. Like, what do you mean? So people created the Dogman based on like a movie, like you said, made it sound like a movie. So did they do all of this after this American Werewolf in London movie? Like, I don't,
That's what I'm saying.
what?
But then there's so many dogman sightings before that. It's just
Oh, yes. Yeah. So,
humorous almost
yeah.
because we're definitely working in the right direction of getting the proper information out there with people
Yeah.
like yourself and such. But yeah, everyone at the end of the day claims they don't like drama, but they all like drama. I'm a big sports person. Okay. I mean, obviously, you want your Bruins just to swipe everybody, but at game 7, you eat up on the drama. Okay. Why do you think people watch soap operas? Why do you think
Yes,
people
right.
claim that
Reality
they don't?
TV.
Yeah. I don't like drama, but they're sitting here
Yeah.
watching cops and they're
Yep.
like,
Yep.
they're
Uh-huh.
screaming and all this crazy stuff. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, right. You're loving this, man. You're enjoying this
Yep.
so much. Like
Yeah, for sure.
WWE, all that stuff. Why do you think? Yeah. So at the end of the day, people claim we want the truth on things, but I think when the truth is too boring, we don't want it anymore. We just want
That's
to think that the totally out of this world, bizarre stuff is the truth. And hey, if there was science to back up any of that or any sort of evidence, then I would present that. But there isn't any evidence to be presented of things along the lines of that. So also, too, on another note that you might find interesting is tracks in general are super hard to find. People don't
hmm
realize there aren't even that many Tyrannosaurus Rex tracks that have been
yeah.
found. Okay.
Yes,
And
I've heard that. Yeah.
yes, so we know they existed, but again, when people are like, "Oh, why aren't there more tracks?" I mean, you really need the perfect situation and to be in the right situation to even come
Yep.
across that because we have bones and we all know T-Rex existed, but why
hmm
do we not have many
hmm
tracks? Because they don't
Right.
last long. And same thing with skeletons. The larger you are, the harder it is to fossilize because
Yes.
little creatures come in to rip your bones apart and eat on it. But if something's smaller, then it can be hidden in clay, which is why in the ocean you have those full imprints of little shellfish and such. But that's
Mhm.
why there isn't any complete skeletons of Tyrannosaurus Rex and such.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and did you and oh now they have had speculated that elephants actually will cover their tracks, but I think it's very rare to have, to catch it on film or whatever. And I saw a video recently. Did you see that where it was two elephants that were kind of walking through wherever, not really the woods, just a grassy area, and they were taking and like wiping out their footprints
hmm
as
I
they
mean,
were, and I'm like,
yeah. Yep,
that's
predators
so
do that. I mean,
cool.
look at cats
Yep.
outside. When cats go to the bathroom, they like scrape it all up.
Yes.
And yeah,
Yep.
so I
Yep.
mean,
Yep.
animals don't want to leave tracks because you're able to be, tracked down afterwards. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense right there. But thanks
Yeah.
again for stopping
Of
in tonight, my
course.
friend. And hanging
course.
out with us and bringing some great information. It's always good to link up, and we always definitely tackle some pretty good stuff here for sure, my friend.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, thanks again for having me.
Thank you for everyone who once again stopped by tonight for this episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on Star Fox Radio. If you do enjoy my content, please like, comment, subscribe, and share it, and get ready to meet up next time with the Midnight Society.